Well, okay, here's an example of what happens when you have blind spots when it comes to race, and you think you're doing people a favor, but you're really just making things worse. It's time for another Alex Uncut. I didn't even know what to do, where to start on this one, so I just have a whole bunch of notes in front of me, and I'm going to do the best that I can to explain what's going on here. So there was a video recently about English. It was an English video. It was teaching English to Koreans, and it was someone who used to be a teacher here, ended up getting into media, has a whole bunch of books out there, has 1.34 million subscribers on YouTube. He's got books that you can buy online teaching English. He's probably got about 5 million views on this particular video by the time that you watch this, if not more. And he made a video that basically was incredibly racially insensitive without ever saying the N-word. In fact, he never even said black people or Latinos. But you'll figure out why I'm flustered in just a moment. Before I start, I get it. I am white privileged AF, like to the extreme. I grew up in a suburban community, mostly white people, Catholic schools growing up, went to a pretty white university as well. And I had money growing up. Not the most in the world, but enough, plenty. And I probably came from a similar background as the person I'm about to talk about. But I don't even know what to say here. Like, it's really weird to kind of almost see myself as well, because I'm sure I had these thoughts growing up, and I would have done the same thing maybe if it was 5 or 10 years ago. I don't know for sure, but certainly it is something that I don't think is amazing. Okay. What I can speak to is not about how it feels to be a person of color and to see this video, because I am not that. I am as white as they come. So I don't want to speak on that except when I give examples of what people have said. But I can speak to why this is a terrible video and how Koreans will probably respond to it. And there's nothing against the Koreans here. This is a video where you're teaching to people who are ignorant of facts and the intricacies of the American political and socioeconomic system. But what you're saying is giving them only small parts of that puzzle, which may lead them to think about certain groups of people in a certain way. Okay. Breathe, Alex. Okay. So what is missing here is a lot of context, and that's where he went wrong. Very quickly, I got a message from my friend, and I asked for kind of a statement on it. His first statement was WTF, which is about as harsh as a rebuke as you'll ever get from my Cole. But he did go on to say, this person is telling Koreans not to go to dangerous areas where I guess crime is big. Not only do I feel he is pandering, but you can't continue to build these stereotypes of racial groups in America. TV already perpetuates stereotypes. I guess according to him, white neighborhoods are the only safe place. And that is a very good assessment about what we're going to talk about right now. I think that he definitely missed the mark on so many areas in this video. I have in front of me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 clips maybe that we're going to talk about. And there were plenty more that we could have gone into. But just completely missed the mark. Another friend of mine sent me a message. It was a Twitter thread, and it's Kenny, aka the Morgan Freeman of beauty, at KennyJD, said, so a friend of mine just sent me this video of a white dude doing a places to avoid for Koreans video that is basically him spreading racist and fear-mongering about black Latino communities. Not to mention, he's literally showing off black neighborhoods like it's a zoo. I was going to bleep it out. I did bleep it out. I was going to not say it, but I mean, I feel like you got to understand how not happy some people are about what the video's about. Okay, now without further ado, let's start talking about it. So this guy that did it, he does videos where he teaches English to Koreans. He used to live in Korea. He still produces content for Korea. His face is on like the TVs on buses. He sells books. He's probably still working in media in other ways, but I don't need to say his name. It's easy to find, and I'm sure he's probably a nice guy who's super misinformed and kind of ignorant about his own ways. That's best I'll say. Continue on. So we started the video off and him driving and talking about an incident that happened, and I believe it was 2 incidents. Maybe it was about like Koreans who died, or I think he said another one about sexual assault. They were victims of these, and we don't read about it in America because, well, it's common. It's very common in America. Strike one on that one. But this is not anything racial. It's true. There have been a lot of gun deaths in America. It's a problem. It is something that is wrong. Then we get to about 105, and what did I save here?
제일 슬픈 것은 여러분, 만약에 한국말로 뉴스 보지 않았으면.
So the saddest thing, if you didn't look at Korean news,
아마 이 사건들에 대해서 아예 몰랐을 것 같아요.
The saddest thing is that you probably would never have heard of it.
왜냐하면 이런 거는 뉴스 거의
Because
안 나와요.
it doesn't come out. So here's the part I was talking about earlier. Because this news is very common. All right, again, it's the start, and it's sort of what starts rolling into what we're about to talk about now. He then says we're going to be going into a dangerous neighborhood in Fort Worth, Texas. I believe he said it was Exit 6 or something. Anyway, it's an area of Fort Worth. It's not the entire part of Fort Worth. And he's talking about, I guess, here he's got a map about all these people who have been killed or injured or incidents in the last couple of months. There seem to have been a lot. Okay, I guess it's a fact, so we're going to go with that.
한 달 전 그냥 사건 그냥 계속 나와요.
Lots and lots of deaths or incidents. But there's a part right here that I found absolutely fascinating. So right after that part, we go in, so we're on 3:35 right now. He's just giving the B-roll footage. You need B-roll in a YouTube video, right? You've got to have B-roll. And then from play, what was that? At 2:35. What was that? 2:35 to 2:37. Just dun, 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 and then all of a sudden, an image of a black guy staring at him through the window. Like, what is the purpose of that? Artistically speaking, are you trying to incite fear? Are you trying to prove a point? The more I watch this, the more I get angry. It's just not necessary at all to put in there. Okay, so that's that next example. Let's go on again. Next, we go to a sign that says, no shoes, no shirt, no shoes, no service.
여러분 퀴즈입니다. Only 3 at a time. 뭐가 문제예요?
Oh, okay. So, first of all, there's the sign, and he says, like, people come around here without their shirts on. And I'm like, dude, like, these are signs at white people establishments. Like, think of any beach bar you've ever been to. White people walk around, white people establishments. I'm just thinking like the stereotypical old people community or something. Like this is not color dependent. This is not color of your skin dependent. I'm sure it's everywhere. I can't think of an exact example, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was at an Asian food restaurant or a Mexican food restaurant or whatever. Like it's at a McDonald's. Everyone goes to McDonald's. So irrelevant. Next, he decides to do a quiz.
뭐가 문제예요? kid 복수형으로 써야 돼요. kids. 아이고 생각해보니까 이 동네 학생 졸업률.
Now that I think about it, in this area, in this neighborhood, the graduation rate is about 50%. First of all, in Fort Worth, Texas, it's much higher. But perhaps in this neighborhood, I don't believe it, but perhaps it's barely 50%, what he says. Even if that's the case, why is that a fact that has to be brought up in this video? Like, what is the necessity of that in a Korean learning English, or, as his video is all about, protecting them from being in dangerous areas? It is an unnecessary fact that has nothing to do with anything. So I do have, in Fort Worth, Texas, the class of 2017, 86.7% of students received their high school diplomas on time or earlier. Dropout rate is around 2.9%. It's possible that there is an area in that part where it's super low, but again, irrelevant. Next up, what do we have here?
여러분 이거 보세요 왼쪽. 이 집 아마 비어 있는 집이에요.
Okay, so look to the left here. He always says 여러분, like everybody, like it's like getting your attention. At this place, it might be an empty house.
철봉 말고 그냥
They don't have the steel bars that he talked about earlier as a place that would be indicative of a scary place.
그냥 아예 나무판이 있어요.
나무판이 있어요. Did he laugh? Did he really?
그냥 아예 나무판이 있어요.
Okay, so it's a wooden sign thing on the door. Okay, what is the necessity of that? Why does he have to have that, like, is that a prison door
그냥 아예
closing?
나무판이 있어요.
Cool. Great effect, bro. Let's just build the scare to make sure that we're protecting Koreans. Because that's what the video is all about, is making sure that they know the English, that when they get to an area,
그건 안 좋은 동네란 뜻이에요.
it means that it's a bad neighborhood. Excuse me, it's a not good neighborhood. Let's be correct here. Like, is that what it means? Is that really what it means? Because it also could mean that it's an area that was neglected by the government or by the steel industry or by whatever industry was in the area that left because of changing economic times, or because we've put people into ghettos for the last 50, 60, 70 years and they have never been able to come out of them due to some economic restraints based on the banking system. Like, there's so many things wrong with this.
그리고 여러분 여기 오른쪽 보세요.
And
여기는
look to the right.
아마 교회였을
Church.
것
Okay,
같아요.
you know what? Skip. Next part. Here's another part.
이 오래된 건물.
This is an old
막
neighborhood.
이렇게 가구 그냥 막 있으면 위험한 동네 약간.
Oh, if there is furniture outside, it's definitely a dangerous neighborhood. Or it could just be a neighborhood where there are poor people and they didn't want to pay to throw it away. Like, the danger part to me, what? Like, yes, there are some good points brought up in this video, and I will go over at least one of them later, but be careful because there's furniture outside. So, like, I'm pretty sure my parents grew up in neighborhoods where there was furniture outside and there were boarded up houses near them. Like, I'm almost positive of this. So, careful, Koreans of my neighborhood. Doesn't seem to be talking about my neighborhood, but we'll move on.
이거 보세요. 쓰레기 무슨 가구.
There's trash. There's
거기
furniture.
안에 사람 사는지 모르겠지만 아마
Don't know if
많은
anyone's living
사람들이
there.
아이, 괜찮아요. 나는 어차피
Okay, you know what? Next one. Okay, what's this
갑자기
one about?
제 앞에 차를 와서 막 세워요.
All of a sudden, a car in front of me stops,
그리고 다른 차 뒤에 와서 그 차도 세워요.
and the car behind you stops probably close to you.
그 중에 뭐 두세 명
2 to 3
내렸어. 저한테 와서
will come out of the car, pull out the gun, and say, "Give me,
차 줘. 돈 줘.
give me your car, give me your money." Okay, cool. So you did this to teach them about America and teach them English, right? So why didn't you just say, "Give me your money"? Like that, because that's the goal of this video, right? Not to inspire an emotion and try to get people angry or
다 냈나? 꺼져.
give it all.
상상해 보세요. 진짜 무섭겠죠? 이거
Think
보세요.
about
여러분 이거 보세요. 와 여러분 선호 아까 페인트했나 봐요.
Wow, they painted a sign that says Amanda's food store, I think. Must be dangerous. Or might be economically not feasible for that person to... This is frustrating. And there's that sound. Cool. Cool, bro. Very cool. Next up. This was another part I was just like...
오 대마초 냄새 진짜 심해요. 냄새 진짜 심해요.
That 대마초 냄새 진짜 심해요. That marijuana smell is strong. Dangerous. Look, I was in freaking Seattle recently and in LA earlier this year on Venice Beach. Again, a lot of white people in these areas. I smelled marijuana all the freaking time, especially because it's legal over there. But beware, it's dangerous. And then, of course, he has to. Yeah, passing black people. He got them in the act. Smoking. Put him in jail. That's the sound, right?
밖에서 당당하게 대마초를
Passing another house with black people in front. Cool. Good work on that one, I think. I mean, necessary? Really? Is it?
피는 사람들 많습니다.
There's a lot of people smoking weed. I know it's scary for you Koreans, so be careful. They're smoking weed. Dangerous. Maybe he's never smoked weed. Maybe he's actually like a really, really, really good Christian kid who's never touched anything in his life.
Yeah.
More black people.
여러분 진짜 솔직히
Like, I think one of the problems I have is a lot of the times when something comes up, there's a whoosh shot of black people as well in here. And I get it. I'm sure the counter argument here is that, yes, those are black people in the neighborhood, and maybe that area of Fort Worth, it has a percentage of black people. But there are artistic decisions that can be made that are made in the context of the situation that we're in right now. Again, I'll explain why these are all terrible in a second, but... Okay, now he's at the...
AR. 그리고 여러분 이런 동네 오면
He's outside of a chicken shop ordering, but he's talking in Korean now because it's almost like he fears them hearing what he's about to say.
무조건 지갑을 앞주머니에 넣으세요.
No question, make sure to put your wallet in your front pocket. Again, it's technically good advice, but it's again advice that I would give to anyone who's in New York Times Square. You don't know who's around you. People oftentimes prey on tourists more than to do random people driving through a poor neighborhood. It's dangerous. Again, I'll give him credit.
아니면 그냥 아예 지갑을 들고 다니지 마세요.
Oh, great advice. Or just don't bring your wallet. What a hero. What a hero. I'm sorry. I did not start this video intending to get angry. Like, I really didn't. And I don't know what to say. Because the next thing he does is ask, like, why are there... I think he asked why are there bars in front of the door or something. He asked that to the person working there and also the Latinos, the guys who are coming up next in Spanish, to get them to kind of say, like, it's dangerous here. Kind of looking for an answer.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Like, I don't like calling people out. It's not my YouTube channel yet. Maybe it will be. I don't know. But there's something infuriating about, like, it wasn't just one or two things, or picking a black neighborhood, or, there's people of color neighborhood. I don't want to judge. And there will be white people in these neighborhoods too. Also, they just weren't depicted. And that's okay if you didn't get it on camera. But what's not okay is then just all the shots are of... That one shot in the beginning is really one of the most frustrating. The one where it's just the black guy. Whew. Okay, this one is a terrible joke.
이 동네에 이런 음식이 있는데 말그 왜 할까요?
In this neighborhood, we got this kind of food. Why would you need drugs? Why would you need drugs, man? This food's so good. Way to... Like, I guess there's nothing wrong with acknowledging a fact that a lot of my black friends have told me that they like fried chicken, but okay, I'm about to get to the point why it's all bad. Oh my gosh. Good joke, bro. In the very end, it's almost a joke when he's doing this ending scene. Says goodbye,
집 어떻게 가지 이제?
and he pretends to get lost, and then pretends to get nervous.
누구지?
Where am I?
GPS 고장난 것 같아. 코나 좀 도와줘. 일어나.
So maybe he thinks it's funny. Maybe he does think it's hilarious. But it's just wrong. It was like an unnecessary part of the video. You can teach people maybe about certain things about bad neighborhoods in America. That's fine. Okay, you know what? I need to move on. I've missed a lot of things in my notes here, but I'm just going to keep going because we're already at, 18 minutes or something. I'm not even sure. Okay. What did I miss? Everything, right? So why it's wrong? The main reason it's wrong here is because Koreans don't have enough context. They don't have enough knowledge of America. So what they get in the news is guns, deaths, people saying stuff about Chicago, especially the black areas of Chicago. The black areas, I'm saying and repeating what is said, but South Chicago, if you want to pretend to be like white and not racist. Southern parts of Chicago are dangerous, right? Chicago, by the way, is not the most dangerous area by far in America. I had a stat here, and I think I might have put it somewhere else. Let's just see. Is Chicago the most dangerous city in the U.S.? Now, it's a lot. It's more than New York and LA. So it's the 13th most dangerous city, but all people know is that. And the reason is because they only have a small bit of knowledge coming in. Going back, let's do a little bit of a quick history lesson here on Koreans and black people. Obviously, there were interactions with the U.S. military from the Korean War. I don't know as much about that. But then we go on to, let's say, the late 90s, maybe mid-90s, early 2000s. The only interactions that Koreans had with black people at that time were hip-hop artists, like music videos, which at that time was very anti-police, lots of guns. It was a very different time, politically speaking. They were different, okay? Also movies, gangster movies, whatever it may have been, like, the image of black people was this. And then comes along people who can change that image, like Sam Mochiri, or just your English teacher who happens to be black can change that image. But there's still a lot of people that don't have interactions with people of color from the United States or from any other parts of the world. And so when you choose an area and decide, like, this is a dangerous part, Koreans will see it and make the assumption that this is what black neighborhoods may look like. Maybe not. I'm sure there's going to be a couple of white people watching my video being like, no, these are facts, Alex, and all this crap. But it's not quite the same. Like, your only idea of black people comes from certain aspects of U.S. media, and then you're told this, you're going to forget the fact that a lot of these poor neighborhoods are in different parts of America that are, they're white, or they're Native American, or they're, whatever it may be. Like, I, luckily, having grown up with my parents in so much privilege, have not lived in a quote-unquote poor neighborhood, but my parents, I don't think, were always wealthy. I've seen the cities they've come from, and some parts of their cities are dangerous and mostly white. We're more farmers, and, like, if you don't put these two things together, the context is lost. And so the assumption now is that it brings up the image of the black person being dangerous. That's it. I mean, I think. Like, okay, I know some people are going to say this is just social justice warriors, like, only seeing this as a race issue and all that stuff. But if a lot of us see this as a race issue, then a lot of Koreans will probably see the race in the video. I don't think the Koreans are guilty here of anything except being misinformed. And the people that should be informing them are maybe the teachers in Korea, the English teachers in Korea, or the people that interact with them wherever, at their churches. A lot of the teachers in Korea are white Americans. And when we fail to really give an accurate representation of America, we screw up. Like, we screw up for everyone else. If we make jokes in class about, like, gangsters having guns, and then in our PowerPoint slide presentation we have a picture of a black guy with a gun who's a hip-hop artist, so it's not racist. They put the picture up, right? That just reinforces stereotypes. So there are so many other ways to make this video legit. And here's the whole point of it. It's hard. Like, it is really difficult to talk about race, especially as a white person, because there are so many blind spots that we have. But, Asians have blind spots about race. I'm sure, I don't know what they would be. I'm sure Mexicans do, or just, black people, like, whatever. Everyone has blind spots about race. But white people, especially ones who have grown up in very white areas, have lots of blind spots about race. And to be honest, race relations are tough. It's f***ing tough, man. Like, even me doing this video is tough, because I could be falling onto the white savior complex, which is a white person thinking he has to help out the black community or another community of color. And by doing it, it almost makes him or her look better, or it's an attempt to make him or her look better. So even this video is really tricky to do. And I do it with hesitation and caution, but I just got a little bit too angry, as you can tell. So I'm sure in this video I've said some things that are wrong, and if I did, by the way, please feel free to leave it in the comment section. I will take all the comments and to heart, and I do, and I have before. But it was just a big mistake in this video. He did not think about the context, and perhaps he didn't know enough about how his words would come out. He doesn't know about maybe the political consequences or the social consequences of his actions. The way to fix it is very simple, and it's difficult because it takes time, but it requires research from anyone. I'm not just talking to white people, but it just happens to be oftentimes a lot of us. It takes watching YouTube videos of people who are quote-unquote woke. And sometimes they are, sometimes they're not, but you watch one or two, and then you watch other people from outside of your bubble, and you learn what they have to say about an issue. Please do not make this the only video you watch on it. Make sure, if you're watching it early enough, go and see Mike Cole, who I mentioned earlier, the quote, his WTF quote. He's got a very level head. He's super nice. I'm curious to see what he says. He's going to go live at 10 o'clock today, 10 o'clock p.m. on Wednesdays. So check him out, Mike Cole, Mikole. He'll be talking about it as well. Make sure you see a Korean's reaction to it, a Korean American's reactions to it, a Black American's reaction to it, everyone's reactions to it, because the way that you prevent yourself from making these mistakes and making insensitive videos is by learning and sometimes by trying. Like I said, like I'm trying here and I'll probably say a few things wrong, but you get better. I just don't think his video was any attempt to care about the consequences of the video. So again, I need to say a few things. Number one, I don't think he is a bad person necessarily. He certainly has some racial blind spots, but that doesn't make him evil. I'm not calling for him to be fired or to move on. I hope that by the time this video is posted, he's taken it down or apologized. I'm sure at some point he will. The backlash has just started about 5-6 hours ago from the filming of this one. Don't send the mob after him. Like, don't. Let's not get him. Let's just bring out the fact that this was not the right thing to do and maybe ask for an apology. That's my opinion on this. Again, I could be wrong on that as well. My name is Alex Sigrist. Thank you for joining on today's Alex Uncut. It's as real as it gets, and today, just let me know what you think in the comment section. I make sure to read all the comments and respond to as many as I can. So, thank you. Have a good night, good morning, and goodbye. Hase yo.